Welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about one of the most beloved books ever written. It is called The Little Prince, and it was written by a French author named Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This book was published in 1943, but people all over the world still read it today. It has been translated into more than 300 languages. That is more than almost any other book in history. But The Little Prince is not just a story for children. It is a story for everyone. It asks some of the most important questions in life. What do we really care about? What does it mean to love someone? Why do adults forget the things that matter most? These are big questions. And this small, beautiful book tries to answer them. Today, we will look at the author's life, the main ideas of the book, and what we can learn from it. We will go through the story carefully, and we will think about how these ideas can help us in our own lives. So let us begin. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry was born in Lyon, France, in 1900. He came from a noble family, but his childhood was not easy. His father died when Antoine was only 4 years old. He grew up with his mother and his brothers and sisters. From a very young age, Antoine loved to dream. He loved to draw. He loved to imagine. When he was older, Antoine became a pilot. This was a very dangerous job in the early 1900s. Airplanes were new and often broke down. Antoine flew mail across deserts and mountains. He crashed many times. Once, he crashed in the Sahara Desert and almost died. He had to walk for days through the hot sand before someone found him. These experiences changed him deeply. He began to think about life and death. He began to ask, what is truly important? What do we leave behind when we are gone? He wrote several books, but The Little Prince is his most famous. He wrote it while living in New York during World War II. He was sad and far from his home country. He missed France. He missed the people he loved. He published The Little Prince in 1943. Just 1 year later, in 1944, Antoine disappeared during a flying mission over the Mediterranean Sea. His plane was never found. He was 44 years old. Many people believe that the sadness and beauty in The Little Prince came from a man who knew that life is short and that love is precious. So what problem does this book try to solve? The book is about a very common human problem. As we grow up, we often forget how to see the world clearly. We become busy. We focus on numbers and facts and money and work. We stop noticing the things that are truly beautiful. We stop asking deep questions. We lose our sense of wonder. Saint-Exupéry believed that adults have a very serious problem. They think they are wise, but actually they have forgotten the most important things. Children, on the other hand, see the world in a more honest way. They ask real questions. They feel real emotions. They are not afraid to love. The Little Prince is a book that asks us to look at the world again with fresh eyes. It asks us to remember what we knew when we were young. It asks us to think about what truly matters in our short time on this earth. Now let us look at the story itself. The narrator of the book is a pilot. He tells us that when he was 6 years old, he drew a picture of a snake eating an elephant. He showed the picture to adults, and they all said it looked like a hat. They could not see the elephant inside the snake. They did not understand. This small moment at the beginning of the book is very important. It shows us something that Saint-Exupéry believed deeply. Adults have lost the ability to see beyond the surface. They see a shape and they think of something practical, like a hat. They do not use their imagination. They do not look deeper. The pilot grew up and became an aviator. One day, his plane broke down in the Sahara Desert. He was completely alone. He had very little water and very little food. He needed to fix his plane or he would die. Then, on the first morning in the desert, a small boy appeared. This boy had golden hair and a long scarf. He asked the pilot to draw him a sheep. The pilot was very surprised. Where did this boy come from? Why was he asking for a sheep in the middle of the desert? This boy was the little prince. He came from a very small planet called asteroid B612. His planet was so small that he could watch the sunset many times in one day just by moving his chair a few steps. He had 3 volcanoes on his planet, 2 big ones and 1 small one. He cleaned them every day. He also had a very special rose. The rose was beautiful and proud. She told the little prince that she was the only rose in the whole universe. He believed her. He took care of her every day. He watered her and protected her from the wind. But the rose was also difficult. She complained a lot. She said things that hurt his feelings. She was vain and sometimes unkind. One day, the little prince decided to leave his planet. He wanted to explore the universe. He was tired of the rose's difficult behavior. He felt confused and a little sad. He did not know yet what the rose truly meant to him. This is the first key idea of the book. Let us call it, the things we love are made special by the time and care we give them. As the little prince traveled, he visited several small planets. On each planet, he met a different adult. Each adult represented a different kind of foolishness that Saint-Exupéry saw in the grown-up world. He met a king who wanted to rule everything, but had no one to rule. He met a vain man who wanted everyone to admire him, but there was no one there to admire him. He met a businessman who spent all his time counting stars, thinking that because he counted them, he owned them. He met a lamplighter who turned his lamp on and off every minute because the rules told him to, even though it made no sense anymore. All of these adults were trapped. They were trapped by power, by vanity, by greed, by blind obedience. They could not see that their lives had become empty. They were very busy, but they were not truly living. Then the little prince came to Earth. He arrived in the desert and met a snake. The snake was mysterious and spoke in riddles. Then the little prince walked through a garden and found thousands of roses. He was shocked. He had believed his rose was the only one in the universe. But here were thousands of roses, all looking just like her. He felt very sad. He lay down in the grass and cried. If there were thousands of roses, then his rose was not special. Or was she? Then the little prince met a fox. This is one of the most important moments in the entire book. The fox asked the little prince to tame him. The little prince did not understand what tame meant. The fox explained. The fox said that to tame someone means to create a bond. It means to make someone unique to you, and to become unique to them. Before the little prince tamed the fox was just one fox among thousands of foxes. And the little prince was just one boy among thousands of boys. But if they spent time together, if they built a relationship, then everything would change. The fox would become the only fox in the world for the little prince. And the little prince would become the only boy in the world for the fox. This is the heart of the book. This is what Saint-Exupéry wanted us to understand. Love is not about finding something perfect. Love is about the time and care and attention you give to something. Your rose is special not because she is the most beautiful rose in the world. She is special because you watered her. You protected her. You listened to her. You spent your time with her. The fox also told the little prince something that has become one of the most famous sentences in all of literature. He said, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." This sentence is the core message of the entire book. The most important things in life cannot be seen with your eyes. You cannot see love. You cannot see friendship. You cannot see the value of a relationship. You can only feel these things with your heart. Adults often forget this. They want to measure everything. They want to count things and weigh things and put a price on things. But the most valuable things in life have no price. They cannot be counted. They can only be felt. Let us now look at the second key idea. We can call it, adults have forgotten how to ask the right questions. Saint-Exupéry shows us this idea through many small moments in the book. When the pilot was a child, the adults could not see the elephant in his drawing. They only saw a hat. When the little prince visited the businessman was too busy counting stars to have a real conversation. When the little prince tried to talk to the adults on the different planets, none of them were truly listening. Saint-Exupéry believed that as we grow up, we are taught to focus on practical things. We learn to ask, how much does it cost? How old is it? How big is it? These are the questions that adults think are important. But children ask different questions. They ask, what does it feel like? Why does it happen? What does it mean? These questions are harder to answer. But they are the questions that lead us to real understanding. In the book, when the pilot tells people about the little prince, he says that adults always ask the same questions. They ask, how old was he? How much did he weigh? How much money did his father make? These questions tell us nothing about who the little prince really was. They do not capture his golden hair, or his laugh, or the way he asked questions that went straight to the heart of things. Saint-Exupéry is telling us that we have the wrong idea about what matters. We measure the wrong things. We ask the wrong questions. And because of this, we miss the most important parts of life. He also shows us this through the rose. When the little prince first left his planet, he did not understand why the rose was important. He only saw her difficult behavior. He saw her complaints and her pride. He did not see the love underneath. He was asking the wrong questions. He was looking at the surface, not at the heart. It was only after talking to the fox that the little prince understood. He went back to the garden of roses and looked at them again. And now he saw something different. He said to the roses, "You are beautiful, but you are empty. No one could die for you." Of course, an ordinary passerby would think my rose looked just like you. But she is more important than all of you together, because it is she that I have watered. Because it is she that I put under the glass globe. Because it is she that I sheltered behind the screen. Because it is for her that I killed the caterpillars. Because it is she that I listened to when she complained, or when she boasted, or when she said nothing at all. Because she is my rose. This is a beautiful and powerful passage. The little prince is saying that his rose is special not because of how she looks, but because of the relationship they have built. The time and care and attention he gave her made her unique. Made her irreplaceable. Now let us look at the third key idea. We can call it, true friendship requires patience, time, and ritual. When the fox asked the little prince to tame him, he also explained how to do it. He said that the little prince must come to sit near him every day, a little closer each time. He said they must be patient. He said they must create rituals. The fox explained what a ritual is. He said that if the little prince came every Thursday, then Thursday would be a special day. The fox would look forward to Thursday all week. He would feel happy as Thursday came closer. But if the little prince came at any random time, then every day would be the same. There would be nothing to look forward to. Nothing would be special. This is a very simple but very deep idea. Rituals give meaning to time. When we do something regularly with someone we love, that thing becomes sacred. It becomes a symbol of the relationship. It says, "This time is for you. You matter to me." Think about the rituals in your own life. Maybe you have coffee with a friend every Saturday morning. Maybe you call your mother every Sunday. Maybe you read to your children every night before bed. These rituals might seem small, but they are the threads that hold relationships together. They are the proof that someone is important to you. Saint-Exupéry believed that modern life destroys rituals. We are always busy. We are always rushing. We say we will spend time with the people we love later, when we have more time. But later never comes. And the relationships slowly become empty. The fox also said something very important about the end of the taming. He said that when the little prince left, the fox would cry. The little prince said, "Then it has done you no good." The fox said, "It has done me good because of the color of the wheat fields." The fox explained that because of the little prince, the color of wheat would always remind him of the little prince's golden hair. Before they met, wheat meant nothing to the fox. But now, because of their friendship, wheat had become beautiful. The whole world had become more beautiful because of their connection. This is another deep idea. When we truly love someone, they change the way we see the world. They make ordinary things beautiful. A song on the radio reminds you of a friend. A smell reminds you of your grandmother. A color reminds you of someone you love. These connections are not sad. They are the proof that the relationship was real and meaningful. But here is what almost no one talks about when they discuss The Little Prince. Most people focus on the beautiful ideas about love and friendship. But Saint-Exupéry also wrote something much darker and more honest. He wrote about the pain of love. He wrote about the fact that when you truly love something, you also become vulnerable. You can be hurt. You can lose what you love. And this is terrifying. The little prince knew this. When he left his rose, he was afraid. He was afraid that she would die without him. He was afraid that she was not strong enough. He was afraid that he had made a mistake by leaving. And when he finally understood that he needed to go back to his planet, he knew that the only way to do it was to let the snake bite him. He knew that his body could not travel back to his star. Only his spirit could go. This is a very sad and very honest part of the book. Saint-Exupéry is saying that love always involves loss. Every relationship will one day end. Every person we love will one day be gone. And this is painful. But it does not mean we should not love. It means we should love more deeply, more carefully, more honestly, while we have the chance. This connects to why Saint-Exupéry wrote the book in the first place. He was far from home. He was in New York, separated from France, separated from the people he loved, knowing that the world was at war and that many people were dying. He was thinking about what truly matters when everything else is taken away. He wrote The Little Prince as a love letter. A love letter to his wife, Consuelo, who was difficult and complicated, just like the rose. A love letter to France. A love letter to childhood. A love letter to the idea that beauty and love and connection are worth more than anything else in the world. Now let us look at the fourth key idea. We can call it, loneliness is the price of forgetting what matters. One of the saddest things in The Little Prince is how lonely all the adults are. The king is alone on his planet. The vain man is alone. The businessman is alone. They have chosen things that cannot love them back. Power cannot love you. Admiration cannot hold your hand. Money cannot sit with you in the dark and tell you that everything will be okay. Saint-Exupéry believed that loneliness is not caused by being physically alone. It is caused by being disconnected from what truly matters. You can be surrounded by people and still be deeply lonely if you have no real connections. You can be alone in a desert and feel completely at peace if you carry love in your heart. The pilot in the book is alone in the desert. But when the little prince appears, the pilot does not feel lonely anymore. He feels alive. He feels curious. He feels that life is full of meaning again. The little prince brought him back to a way of seeing the world that he had forgotten. This is why the book has touched so many people around the world. We all know this feeling. We all know what it is like to feel disconnected. To feel like we are going through the motions of life without really living. To feel like something important is missing, but we cannot name what it is. Saint-Exupéry is saying that what is missing is connection. Real connection. The kind that comes from truly seeing another person. From listening to them. From caring about them. From being willing to be changed by them. The fox said something else that is very important. He said, "You become responsible forever for what you have tamed. You are responsible for your rose." This is a very serious statement. When you love someone, you take on a responsibility. You are responsible for their well-being. You cannot just love someone when it is convenient. You cannot just be there when it is easy. Love is a commitment. It is a daily choice. It is a daily act of care. This is something that adults often forget. We want the good parts of love without the responsibility. We want to feel the warmth of connection without doing the work that connection requires. But the fox is telling us that this is not possible. Love and responsibility are the same thing. You cannot have one without the other. Let us now think about why Saint-Exupéry believed all of these things. What was the source of his wisdom? Saint-Exupéry was a man who had faced death many times. He had crashed in deserts. He had flown through storms. He had seen friends die in accidents. He had lived through a world war. He knew, in a very personal and physical way, that life is fragile and short. When you have faced death, you see life differently. Small things become precious. A cup of coffee with a friend. A sunset. A child's laugh. These things are not small at all. They are everything. Saint-Exupéry also had a complicated personal life. His marriage to Consuelo was full of passion and conflict. They loved each other deeply but also hurt each other. He traveled constantly and was often away from her. He knew what it felt like to love someone and also to fail them. He knew the gap between what we feel and what we do. This is why the Rose in the book is so real. She is not a perfect character. She is difficult and vain and sometimes unkind. But the little prince loves her anyway. Because love is not about finding a perfect person. Love is about choosing to care for an imperfect person. About seeing their beauty even when they are being difficult. About staying when it would be easier to leave. Now let us think about the ending of the book. After 8 days in the desert, the pilot has fixed his plane. He is ready to leave. But the little prince is also ready to leave. He needs to go back to his rose. He needs to go back to his planet. The pilot is very sad. He does not want the little prince to go. He has come to love this small, strange boy with his golden hair and his serious questions. He does not want to lose him. The little prince tries to comfort the pilot. He says, "Look at the stars at night. On one of those stars, I will be living. On one of those stars, I will be laughing. And so it will be as if all the stars were laughing when you look at the sky at night. You will have stars that can laugh." This is a beautiful idea. When someone we love is gone, they do not disappear completely. They live in the things that remind us of them. They live in the memories we carry. They live in the way they changed us. The little prince is saying that love does not end with physical separation. It continues in the heart. The pilot watches the little prince walk away into the desert. The snake bites the little prince, and he falls silently to the ground. The pilot runs to him, but when he gets there, the body of the little prince is gone. There is nothing left but the sand. The pilot goes home. He fixes his plane. He lives his life. But he is changed forever. He looks at the stars differently now. He hears them differently. He sees the world with new eyes. And this is exactly what Saint-Exupéry wanted for his readers. He wanted us to be changed. He wanted us to close the book and look at the world differently. To see the people in our lives not as background characters in our own story, but as precious, irreplaceable beings who deserve our time and care and attention. Now let us talk about the practical takeaways. What can we actually do with these ideas? How can we apply the wisdom of the Little Prince to our real lives? The first actionable step is this: choose one relationship and give it more time and attention this week. Think about the people in your life. Think about who matters most to you. Now ask yourself honestly, am I giving that person the time and care they deserve? Or am I too busy? Am I taking them for granted? The fox told us that love is built through time and ritual. So choose one person. Maybe it is your partner. Maybe it is a parent. Maybe it is a friend you have not spoken to in a long time. And do something concrete. Call them. Have coffee with them. Write them a letter. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because you are responsible for what you have tamed. The second actionable step is, practice looking with your heart, not just your eyes. This week, try to notice the invisible things. When you are with someone you love, put your phone away. Look at them. Really look at them. Notice the way they laugh. Notice the things they care about. Notice the small details that make them who they are. The fox told us that what is essential is invisible to the eye. So practice seeing with your heart. Ask deeper questions. Instead of asking someone how their day was, ask them what made them feel alive today. Instead of talking about practical things, talk about what matters. What are they afraid of? What are they hoping for? What do they dream about? These conversations are harder. They require courage. But they are the conversations that build real connection. They are the conversations that make life feel meaningful. The third actionable step is, create one new ritual with someone you love. Remember what the fox said about rituals. They give meaning to time. They create something to look forward to. They say, this time is for you. So think of one small ritual you can create. Maybe you decide to have dinner together every Friday without phones. Maybe you decide to take a walk together every Sunday morning. Maybe you decide to write one thing you appreciate about someone in your life every week and tell them. It does not have to be big. It just has to be consistent. It just has to be something that says, you matter to me. I choose to give you my time. These 3 steps are simple. But they are not easy. They require us to slow down in a world that tells us to speed up. They require us to look inward in a world that tells us to look outward. They require us to value things that cannot be counted in a world that counts everything. But this is exactly what Saint-Exupéry was asking us to do. He was asking us to be brave enough to live differently. To resist the pull of busyness and distraction. To choose love and connection over achievement and accumulation. He wrote The Little Prince in a time of great darkness. The world was at war. Millions of people were dying. Everything that seemed solid and permanent was being destroyed. And in the middle of all that darkness, he wrote a small, gentle book about a boy who loved a rose. He was saying, even now, especially now, love is what matters. Connection is what matters. The time we spend with the people we love is what matters. Everything else is just noise. Let us take a moment to think about the language of the book. Saint-Exupéry wrote in a very simple, clear way. The sentences are short. The words are not complicated. But the ideas are very deep. This is a sign of great writing. The best writers can say the most complex things in the simplest words. This is also why the book works for children and adults at the same time. A child can enjoy the story of a small prince who travels from planet to planet and talks to a fox. An adult can feel the deep sadness and wisdom underneath. The book works on many levels at once. Saint-Exupéry also used symbols very carefully. The rose is a symbol of love and the people we are responsible for. The fox is a symbol of wisdom and true friendship. The desert is a symbol of loneliness and the search for meaning. The stars are a symbol of hope and the people we have lost. These symbols are not complicated. But they are powerful. They speak to something deep inside us. They connect to emotions and experiences that we all share, no matter where we come from or what language we speak. This is why the book has been translated into more than 300 languages. The feelings it describes are universal. Let us also think about the drawing that appears throughout the book. Saint-Exupéry drew all the illustrations himself. The little prince is shown as a small, delicate figure with golden hair and a long scarf. He looks fragile but also strong. He looks like someone who sees the world clearly, without the filters that adults put over their eyes. The drawings are simple, almost like a child's drawings. But they are also very beautiful. They match the style of the writing. They say, "Look at this with simple eyes. Do not overcomplicate it. See it as it is." This is another lesson from the book. We often make life more complicated than it needs to be. We add layers of analysis and strategy and planning. We think that complexity is a sign of intelligence. But sometimes the wisest thing is to see clearly and simply. To know what you love and to love it fully. To know what matters and to give it your time. Now, let us think about the legacy of this book. The Little Prince was published in 1943. Saint-Exupéry died in 1944. He never knew how famous his book would become. He never knew that 80 years later, people all over the world would still be reading it and being moved by it. But in a way, this is the most beautiful proof of his ideas. He put love and care and attention into this book. He tamed his readers. And because of that, the book became something precious. Something irreplaceable. Not because it is the longest book or the most complicated book or the most famous book. But because of what he put into it. Because of the love and honesty and pain that are on every page. The Little Prince is Saint-Exupéry's rose. He watered it. He protected it. He listened to it. And now, all these years later, it is still blooming. We started today by asking, what matters most? And the Little Prince gives us a clear answer. What matters most is not money or power or fame or achievement. What matters most is love. Real love. The kind that requires time and patience and responsibility. The kind that makes ordinary things beautiful. The kind that stays with you even after the person is gone. What matters most is connection. The bonds we build with the people and things we care about. The rituals we create. The time we give. The attention we pay. What matters most is the ability to see clearly. To look with the heart, not just the eyes. To ask the right questions. To resist the temptation to measure and count and own everything. To remember that the most essential things are invisible. Saint-Exupéry wrote this book because he was afraid that the world was forgetting these things. He was afraid that war and greed and busyness were destroying the most important parts of human life. He wanted to remind us. He wanted to shake us gently and say, "Wake up. Look around you. The people you love are right here. The beauty of the world is right here. Do not miss it." And so, as we finish today, I want to leave you with a question. Not a question about the book, but a question about your own life. Think about the roses in your life. Think about the people and things you have chosen to care for. Think about the time and attention you have given them. And ask yourself, am I being responsible for what I have tamed? Am I truly seeing the people I love with my heart, not just my eyes? Am I creating the rituals and the moments that tell the people I love that they matter? Because in the end, this is what the Little Prince is really about. It is not about a boy from a small planet. It is about you. It is about the choices you make every day. It is about whether you will let the busyness of life pull you away from what truly matters, or whether you will have the courage to slow down, to look clearly, and to love well.